Welcome everyone to the 32nd Annual Volunteer Recognition Dinner. I'm Brooks Compton, Mayor of the City of Centerville, and we want to thank Darren Bell for a terrific job again this evening. He's been out here for Jazz on the Green a number of times and helps us out a great deal. So a round of applause for Darren this evening. If you would, why don't we, everybody stand and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance then. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all for being here this evening. We are able to celebrate, because of you, the dedicated volunteers who give of your time to assist the Centerville operations, Centerville departments, and you truly make Centerville a wonderful place to live. I just wanted to do a couple introductions, and the first person I'd like to introduce is Greg Horn, who is our city manager. And Greg, if you'd stand up for a second here. As you know, Greg is retiring July the 5th, and he will be big shoes to fill. He's been a terrific city manager. And I don't know whether he's happy about that or sad about that. I'm not real sure. Also like to mention a number of other staff members who are here this evening. Appreciate all of you being here. You all work very hard. And those of us on council appreciate how hard you do work on behalf of the city. Doug Spittler, who's our Public Works Director, back in the back. Then we have Jim Brenniger, our city engineer. Chief Robertson, over there. One of the rare times to see him out of uniform. You do have another shirt. I wasn't sure. Andrew Rodney, our city planner. Mark Yondrick. Is Mark here? Yes. There he is. Okay, Mark. Mark is the one that we can credit for the Frisbee golf over at Stubbs Park. He arranged that. Karen Andrews, our clerk of council. This is, I think, Karen's right there. This is her second volunteer recognition dinner. She's doing a terrific job for the city. Sergeant Mike Yoder, over there taking some pictures. Patty Bobo, who works at the reception desk for the city. That's where I run into her most of the time. Julie Westwood, also. And Randy Bishop from over in Benham's Grove. And of course, Maureen Russell Hodson's here. She's here somewhere, but we all recognize her. Jamie Phelan from Yankee Trace, or Jamie Phelan's here. Then Matt Dully from Yankee Trace. Steve Marino's here is our Yankee head golf pro here. And then Terry Taylor, also the golf superintendent here, Yankee Trace. Big round of applause. They all work extremely hard. So appreciate, is there any other staff member who's here this evening that might have missed? Again, although you may not have been able to hear. Oh, Mary Lou Pence, great Scott. Sorry about that, Mary Lou. And, sorry, Mary Lou, I appreciate it. They all do a terrific job. Thank you all for being here this evening. Also wanted to mention one former council member, Paul Gresham. Dr. Gresham is here this evening. He's somewhere around here. He served on the Charter Commission. Dr. Gresham, thank you for being here. Also have former Mayor Sally Beals is here this evening. And Sally has done a terrific job for the city over the years. I want to mention just quickly the council members that are here this evening. Our Deputy Mayor Belinda Kenley's here with her husband Bob, or Robert. Mark Engert, council members here this evening. Joanne Rao is here with her husband Steve. Joanne has a tough assignment. She's going to be in Hawaii the next 11 days or so, or 7 days. So.
It's work.
It's work related, that's correct. Bill Sayre and his wife Susan. John Beals and his wife Corsally Beals. And my wife Ruth is right here, also up here in front. Right? I think I've got all of our council members here this evening. Oh, gosh, I'm sorry, John Palcher. I did, and his wife Aurelia. Well, when I really need that vote sometime, there it goes. That'll be. I just want to take a moment to remember the few volunteers who have passed away since our last volunteer salute. And we had two longtime members of Centerville Historical Society, or Centerville History, Janet Thobaban and Celia Elliott. Both of them passed away this past year. They're both huge contributors to the city of Centerville. Also, we had Centerville volunteers, Ralph Dusty Rhodes, who was a volunteer with the Public Works Department. He passed away. Tom Livingston, who was a Yankee Trace volunteer. He passed away in August. Richard Welch, a longtime Stormwater Review Committee member. He passed away this past February. And then Gene O'Neill, who was a civic volunteer. He worked in the city manager's office and also the police department. He just passed away last week. All of them made significant contributions to our volunteer program and to the city, and they'll all be missed. We remember them for all that they've done. I just wanted to share one quick comment before dinner about volunteering. And I read this quote, and I thought it's very appropriate for our meeting this evening, our gathering this evening. And volunteering is at the very essence of being a human. No one has made it through life without someone else's assistance. And all of you have helped make a much better community for all of us. And we thank you for being here and welcome volunteers. Now I'd like Bill Sayre, if he would give the invocation before dinner.
Thank you. I have the great privilege in life of working for an organization that last year engaged more than 850 volunteers in more than 86,000 hours of volunteer service. So I feel right at home being part of a city government that involves a lot of volunteers in a variety of activities. I've spent a lot of time in volunteer recognitions over many years, and as a result, I've drawn some universal conclusions about volunteer service that I would like to share. My first conclusion: everyone has something to offer. This afternoon, I participated in a volunteer recognition for 13 students who participate in the Centerville Schools Integrated Transition Options Program. This is a program that helps students with intellectual and developmental disabilities transition between high school and community living between the ages of 18 and 22. These 13 students collectively spend approximately 900 hours a month volunteering in various tasks at Bethany Lutheran Village, including food service, housekeeping, laundry, clerical, shredding, and other special projects. And this afternoon, I engaged the students in conversation about their volunteer work, and every one of them displayed unbridled enthusiasm about their service. They do not recognize their disabilities as a barrier to volunteer service. Everyone has something to offer. My second conclusion is that volunteer service has real value. A national membership organization known as Independent Sector calculates the average value of volunteer service annually on a state-by-state basis. In 2016, they estimated the average volunteer service hour in Ohio to be worth $22.99. When one adds up all of the hours of service represented in this room, it isn't hard to understand that as volunteers, you extend the capacity of the city of Centerville far beyond what our tax dollars could possibly afford. My third and most important conclusion is that once a volunteer becomes fully engaged in volunteer service, it becomes almost impossible to determine whether the volunteer or the organization being served receives the most benefit. Volunteers become passionate about their service, and the act of volunteering fulfills a universal need to be part of something bigger than oneself, to be needed, and to be engaged in meaningful work. Volunteer service integrates the server with those being served, and the result is the strengthening of the entire community. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for the gift of community and for the opportunity to live our lives as part of a community in fellowship with each other. We are especially grateful for our Centerville community and for all of the volunteers who work to strengthen and extend our capacity to meet the needs of our citizens. We give you thanks for the many blessings we experience in Centerville, for our homes, our schools, our churches, our parks, our police and fire departments that keep us safe, and all of the other great amenities we experience in Centerville, including this wonderful venue where we are gathered this evening. We praise you for inspiring the service offered by all of our Centerville volunteers. Continue to bless their service. Thank you for the food we are about to eat and for those who produced it, prepared it, and will serve it. Bless the fellowship we share here tonight, and use this celebration to strengthen our community in ways that will reach out to touch all of our citizens with your love. Amen.
How about a good round of applause for Darren Bell? What a great job you did for us tonight. Darren, thank you very much for being here. I think we'll go ahead and get started with the presentations this evening. Again, I want to thank you all for being here tonight, and I think if we could give a round of applause to Jason and the staff here at Yankee Trace for a terrific job they do again. They do that every event. And again, just another round of applause for Maureen Russell Hodson for organizing this and working with everyone. Just a little bit of history tonight. This is the 22nd year of Yankee Trace. I know that's hard to believe. It's the 22nd year of the Friends of Benham's Grove. It's the 25th year for Benham's Grove. This is our 32nd volunteer recognition dinner or event. This is Centerville's 49th year as a city. Next year will be an exciting year with the celebration of our 50th year as a city. And it's the 51st year of the Centerville, Washington history. And Centerville was settled approximately 221 years ago this year. From those of us who are honored and fortunate enough to serve as your elected officials, and those who are here tonight and work for the City of Centerville, tell you we can say without reservation, and we clearly do so without hesitation, that Centerville would not be the city that it is today without the commitment that all of you volunteers make on behalf of the City of Centerville. People who drive through Centerville, people who visit Centerville, or they participate in any of the events at the city properties, Benham's Grove, Yankee Trace, the Centerville Police Department, the Americana or Stubbs Park, or even if they've made Centerville their home, they probably know very few of you, if any of you personally. However, they do know that someone in what is Centerville cared enough to do the volunteer work and the service necessary to make Centerville a successful and beautiful city. So again, all of you, as volunteers, you know what a crucial part you play in that. You also know as volunteers that you will receive no financial compensation for your commitment of time and energy. And as volunteers, you know that you will receive little, if no praise for your accolades, or accolades for your commitment, for your time and your energy. But you do know that as volunteers, as Bill mentioned before, you have the personal satisfaction that knowing that you are providing a service and benefit to those who live in Centerville today and those who will make Centerville their home in the years to come. Centerville truly is a great place to live, a place to work, raise a family, and a very large part of that, a very, very large part of that is because of you in this room tonight and your role as volunteers. I've heard volunteer, and I've read this, that volunteering has been described as the ultimate exercise in democracy. You vote in elections maybe once or twice every year, but when you volunteer, you vote every day about the kind of community you want to live in. From all of us who have benefited from your volunteer service in the past, and many in this room have, we've lived here for 30-some years, and I know many families have, we benefit from that service today, and we know that your service will be there in the future. We thank you by exercising that democracy, by volunteering and helping in the city every day. It simply could not be done without you. So a round of applause for all of you as volunteers. You do a terrific job for the city. I was going to have Greg Horn come up for just a second, but he didn't want to come up tonight, and I can understand that, but we're going to have an opportunity. All of you get an opportunity to say something to Greg tonight or anytime over the course of the next couple months, because Greg has been a true professional and public servant for Centerville, and Centerville is better because of his involvement in Centerville these years. Sally Beals wanted Greg to be hired as a city manager, and we met and discussed it, and Greg's done a terrific job. We'll hear just a little bit more about that. Now, as part of the volunteer dinner recognition every year, we do years of service recognition, and a number of volunteers have served in many years in the benefit for the City of Centerville residents and for the City of Centerville. So what we'd like to do at this point, if I could ask the council members to come up front, and Greg, if you wouldn't mind coming up also, and congratulating those that have passed a certain milestone in their service of volunteer to the City of Centerville. And Maureen, I think you're going to help out here too. Yeah, okay, great. We really are pleased to recognize a number of volunteers who reach a milestone this year in their service to the City of Centerville. And I'm going to recognize a few people. A couple could not be here tonight, but I'd ask if your name is called for years of service to come on up, and we'd like to shake your hand as a member of council and then have a quick recognition for those that have done that years of service. For 5 years of service, Mary Scott was going to be here, but she's not able to be here tonight. She was on the Arts Commission. And Dick Stevens, I believe, is here tonight. He's been a civic volunteer and a member of the Centerville Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association. And Dick, if you'd come on up here. I appreciate all that you've done for us. Dick, if you could stay up here. If you've been called up here for a recognition, at this point, we'd ask you to stay up so we can get a picture of all of the volunteers who are getting years of service recognition. 10 years of service. Amy Krenny-Both is not able to be here this evening. Her father is ill. She stopped in, but she's not able to receive her award. But she previously served on the Board of Architectural Review and now is serving on the Planning Commission. Dan Lynch. I believe Dan is here. Dan is a civic volunteer here at the golf club at Yankee Trace. And Dan, a day like today, it's got to feel great to see what good job you do with the course and how it's managed. Thanks. Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much. He's a 10. And Dan has had 10 years of service. Dan, if you wouldn't mind waiting up here for just a second. Another 10-year of service is Gary Martindale, and he's also a civic volunteer here at the golf club at Yankee Trace. And Gary, are you here this? Oh, there he is. Okay. Recognizing 15 years of service is Paul Clark in the Planning Commission. He has served as chair for the last several years, and if it's probably one of the most thankless jobs for volunteer service is being head of the Planning Commission. Paul, thank you very much. And also for 15 years is Pam England. She's been a civic volunteer also at the golf club at Yankee Trace. Pam, thank you very much. Thank you. Also 15 years, Mindy Tompkins, who's worked here as a civic volunteer, also at the golf club at Yankee Trace. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Mindy. 25 years of service, really a big commitment as a volunteer. been presented with the Certificate of Appreciation, Carolyn Meininger. Carolyn has served since 1991. Carolyn served since 1991 on various boards, including the Arts Commission, the Planning Commission. She also helped out with the UDO and now on the Records Commission. And rumor has it that Carolyn is one heck of a euchre player. So, Mary Pisa, who's been with the Sister City Committee for 25 years. Mary? Mary, I believe, is going to Bod Z this summer. Is that correct? Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. We're also honored tonight to have Charlie Graham here, who's played an integral part in our community for many, many years. He's getting a 30 years of service, Certificate of Appreciation, and Mr. Graham has recently stepped down from the Board of Architectural Review with 30 years of service. That's what that means. Mr. Graham received the Mayor's Award for Community Service in 2012, and it's well-deserved, and the success of the Architectural Preservation District through his work on the BAR is evident every day if you get a chance to go through there. Mr. Graham, thank you very much. If we could get a picture, I think, Maureen, you wanted to get a picture of everyone, did you not?
Oh, okay.
Yep, we're all going to be over here. Mr. Graham, why don't you come on over here? It's okay, everyone over here, man. All over here, okay. And then Eric, would you want to- okay? That's Mr. Graham, isn't it? A lot of years of volunteer service up there, that's for sure. He needs a pen. Gary needs a pen.
In your pen, right? Yes. But don't take one back to the state.
Okay, okay. Next, I'd like just to take a couple minutes and go through the volunteers of our council-appointed boards and commissions, and many, many boards and commissions are needed to properly assist in the running of the City of Centerville. And without the volunteers that are here tonight, we certainly would not be able to do so. You had an opportunity to see the slide presentation a little bit earlier about some of the involvement of many of the boards and commissions over the years. I just want to give a little bit of highlights of what took place during the course of the year. And the first thing, we had a group of volunteers who have been reviewing our city charter. That has to be done every 8 years. And you'll probably hear a little bit more about that come November, because we have a number of charter amendments that will be on the ballot. It'll be the first time that those items have been before the voters in 25 years. But they make a number of recommendations for changes on our charter and updates to the policies and how the procedures that the city government functions in the City of Centerville specifically. We are a home rule form of government, and the charter is extremely important as to being current and properly in place. So if those members of the Charter Commission, if they'd stand up and receive recognition for their hard work. Thank you. Thank you very much. The Centerville Arts Commission also promotes and presents arts to our citizens. Over the year, the Commission has had a number of events. Last year, in 2016, over 14 concerts at Stubbs Park. About 16,000 visitors took part in the concerts during the summer. This year, the concert series kicks off on June 4 with Kim Kelly's orchestra, and that's a great show. I can tell you the lineup this summer is a terrific lineup. If you get a chance to go, it's always a really nice night out there at Stubbs, as Stubbs has developed more and more, so take advantage of that. If you have a chance to get to the police department, the 24-hour police department is always staffed, always there with a dispatcher and personnel to talk to. We also have Centerville Art Gallery there at the police department, so and every month that changes. The Arts Commission sponsored the digital photography workshop and contest. Also the original night featuring the works of Centerville High School students, a taste of the arts at Centerville High School, and also the annual Art at the Trace, which takes place usually in February of every year. It's going to be February 24th of 2018. So if you get a chance to attend, that's a very fun event, and it really is very well run. And the Arts Commission does a great job. And I'd like all the members of the Arts Commission to stand up for those that are here this evening. Get your round of applause because it's well deserved. I saw Kathy Jablinski stand up. Just a quick plug for tomorrow night, Food Truck Friday down in the AP District. So if you get a chance, that was a really successful event last year, so if you get a chance, head on down there. 2016, Paul Clark and the Planning Commission ruled on over 50 cases of various types, and there is, as you well know, there's a lot of activity going on in the city of Centerville. Cornerstone, Shops 3, the First Financial Bank, Home 2 by Hilton. But they also had a number of other cases that came before them regarding the Allure, which is the multifamily complex at the old Showcase Cinema site, Lofts, which is also a multifamily development by what would have been Chardonnay, and then the Woodburn Library expansion. The Planning Commission also last year adopted a very significant program or plan, and that was for the Centerville Place Shopping Center. And that was a very exciting program. Andrew Rodney, our city planner, got that grant from the Montgomery County Land Bank, and it's been really a good project. So we look forward to seeing a lot on that. So at this time, with the members of the Planning Commission who really had a terrific year and a busy year, please stand up and receive recognition. The Centerville City Beautiful Commission. That's a lot of volunteers. They work with staff members, and they have a liaison from City Council. And they've always willing to take new members into the City Beautiful Commission. And they've done, as you know, a great job. The city looks great. Just a couple of things that they did this year. In March of every year, they handle and host a landscaping educational seminar. Joanne is our representative, the liaison to the City Beautiful Commission, and that is a terrific event. And Jan has been chairman of that committee for a number of years, and they really do a great job. But some of the other things they do, they handle the Arbor Day, with working with Mary Lou Pence. They plant and maintain the 4 corners in the city of Centerville. And they assist Public Works in selecting the plant materials for use at various sites throughout the city. And they also do the Community Pride Awards throughout the year. And there's an exciting announcement, the success of our City Beautiful Commission. The Centerville City Beautiful Commission and the City of Centerville has been awarded and selected as the site of the 2019 Southwest Ohio's Arbor Day Foundation Tree City USA celebration. And I think that's a recognition of how the city has worked very hard through the Arbor Day and through the City Beautiful Commission to support the growth in our city. So with that, would the members of the City Beautiful Commission please stand up? The Board of Architectural Review, Mr. Graham has headed I've been the chairman of the Board of Architectural Review for a number of years. The AP district is under the control basically of the BAR, and also 9 landmark residential properties are under the control or essentially be supervised by the Board of Architectural Review. And as you can tell, the Board of Architectural Review through the AP district, they pretty much try to create a unified look and feel in the downtown area and to encourage preservation of the residences and also to make it a good business community. And we're working hard to address that issue. Over the past year, the Board of Architectural Review worked with a number of property owners and businesses to guide improvements to their buildings, and you'll see some significant improvements in the AP district. And the Board of Architectural Review has been a significant part of the success of that district, and they're working hard to keep it that way. So at this time, would members of the Board of Architectural Review please stand up and receive applause for what you've done. Belinda Kenley, our Deputy Mayor, heads up the Mayor's Business Task Force, and Belinda's been running that for the last couple of years. And the Mayor's Business Task Force was created to improve communication between Centerville, the City of Centerville, City of Centerville offices, and businesses throughout the community. And I know sometimes it's hard to believe, but the City of Centerville has over 700 businesses. And at various stages, primarily mostly one location places, but they occasionally need some support, and that Business Task Force has done a great job. And Belinda, I know you've been a great leader of that committee, and those who have served on the Business Advisory Task Force, if you'd please stand up, that'd be great. Several committees don't meet very often, and it's a good thing. One is referred to as one committee is the Property Review Commission, and that's usually a situation that comes up when there's a dispute regarding maintenance and something of that concern. And that's usually what the Centerville Property Review Commission takes its time to work with the property owner and work out a solution. The Personnel Appeals Board, they'll meet with an employee when an employee appeals a decision or an action by the city as far as a personnel matter. And following a hearing, then that Personnel Appeals Board will listen to the information and then make a recommendation and decision. And the board then approves all the guidelines as to how those appeals are handled. We also have the Board of Tax Appeals, and that's exactly what you think it might be, and that meets with when a taxpayer has an issue regarding an assessment that the City of Centerville makes or incurs on that individual. And again, the board reviews that information. The Records Commission is created by the state law for the purpose of reviewing official documents and the appropriateness of their destruction, which is a very important aspect of the public information law. And then the School District Personal Appeals Board is again exactly what you think it would be. They meet when there is a personnel issue with our City of Centerville school district itself, and that's a very important position. So with the members of the Property Review Commission, the Board of Tax Appeals, the Personnel Appeals Board, and the School District Personnel Appeals Board and the Records Commission, please stand. Then the Civic Program. Citizens Involved in Centerville, our volunteer program, is celebrating its 32nd year. And as you know, Maureen is very, very involved in this. And the mission of Civic is to encourage and provide opportunities for citizens to participate in city government and in their community, and to enhance city services by utilizing volunteers to supplement staff efforts and to promote and assist citizen understanding of municipal issues. There isn't a department that civic volunteers don't work in. All city sites use civic volunteers. The police department, the city building, the public works, Benham's Grove, and Yankee Trace. These are integral parts of the success of every one of those city sites. This last year, and Bill mentioned the hourly value associated with a volunteer being over $22, the civic volunteers alone have contributed over 15,000 hours of voluntary service to the City of Centerville in 2017. That works out at a little bit over $330,000 of value. So over the year, the civic volunteers have taken care of taking accident scenes, or plotting accident scenes for the engineering office, making sure that documents are properly scanned, and as you know from out here at Yankee Trace, an integral part of the success of the program out here at Yankee Trace, all the volunteers who work here at Yankee Trace. So at this time, there are many aspects of the Civic Volunteer Program. If you'd stand up and receive a round of applause for the tremendous work you do for the City of Centerville. I might just mention that the Centerville Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association is one of the groups of the Civic Volunteers, and they meet every month. If you've been a part of the Citizens Police Academy, it's a nonprofit group, and they participate in activities at the police department and help fund various activities for the police department. I know the chief and others appreciate the involvement of the CCPAA. Friends of Benham's Grove, 22nd year. Those who have seen, and Sally saw this from the very beginning, from Benham's Grove and what it has become today, and that would not have been possible without all the work of the Friends of Benham's Grove. They're in their 22nd year, I think, this year, and if you look around, they've been involved with the Rotary Gazebo, the Plaza, and they have coming up this year on June 15, Hasta La Vista, and that is a garden party and tour of the Utz family Hosta Gardens on June 15. So if you'd like to participate in that, see one of the Friends of Benham's Grove. At this time, would those members of the Friends of Benham's Grove please stand up? Receive appreciation. And the members of the Community Reinvestment Area Housing Council, and that's a long name for a very important entity that the council several years ago, well, it's been a number of years ago, expanded the community redevelopment area of our community, which has been very helpful at playing an important role in fostering the sustainable redevelopment of our community, really for decades to come. That's been a very successful program. And the members of the CRA Housing Council, would they please stand up? There. Then the Centerville Sister City Committee, a number of which are sitting at the table right up here. They have an exciting trip to Bad Wissenau, which is our sister city in Germany, in July. Currently, about 25 people have signed up to go, and I know that a couple council members, Joanne Rao and her husband Steve, and John and Sally Beals will be attending. And they'll be in Bad Wissenau with our sister city. And they have a big trip planned with respect to that. But the Sister City Committee has done a lot over the years and really fostered a great relationship between Bad Z and Centerville. So those members of the Sister City Committee who are here this evening, they would stand up and receive their applause for a great... And certainly last but not least, is the Stormwater Review Committee. And you might think of this, holy cow, that is an important committee. For those of us who remember about 28, 30 years ago, that committee was formed because of a 200-year rains, I think, in, about a month, wasn't it? And that caused the formation of that committee, and that's been a very active committee. Each year they review what needs to be done as far as the maintaining of the stormwater system here in the city of Centerville. So they meet annually, and they work very closely with our Public Works Department and our engineer to determine what's appropriate for the year. So at this time, would the members of the Stormwater Review Committee please stand? All the volunteers, great work. We really appreciate everything you do. And Maureen, at this time, if we're able to flip on, at this time I'd like to ask Jim Durham to come on up. Jim has a couple comments about our 25-year city manager, Greg Horn. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Brooks. Where's Greg? I see you now. Greg, I am pleased to be here to honor you and your 25 years of service to the city of Centerville. I was a member of the Planning Commission when you arrived, and I think sometimes to your chagrin, I still am. Greg and I don't always agree, but I know his perspective is always thoughtful and that he always acts in the best interest of the city of Centerville. Greg has great vision. From the nascent Yankee Trace development barely out of the ground when he arrived in 1992, to exciting redevelopment challenges and opportunities that lie in the future. Greg has provided tremendous vision for us in the city of Centerville. Think about the development of Yankee Trace without Greg. The golf club and the housing are tremendous assets to the city of Centerville, but Greg provided a long-term vision and a calming hand to a somewhat nervous private developer, and guiding through what has been really a 25-year development process, because I think we still have some things with great traditions today. But equally important, Greg had the foresight to refinance the bonds, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but those will be paid off this year, and Yankee Trace will be debt-free, and a self-sustaining facility for its own improvement, and will for decades provide for open space and recreation for our community. Of course, it's more than just about Yankee Trace. Think about the redevelopment of Franklin and Main Street, for example, without Greg's vision. Think about the new police station, the public works facility, all done without public debt. And there's more, but I want to finish with one little thing. I actually got to experience it again this afternoon. And that is I came to the intersection of Route 48 and Alex Bell Road. The southeast corner had a vacant lot and 2 rundown houses on it. And Greg led the effort to acquire those and to create that green space that's there on that southeast corner. That beautiful green space sits with all the traffic around it, with so-so other improvements on the other corners. And what it does is it communicates that you're in someplace special when you come to our city of Centerville. And that is one of the little pieces of vision for our community that you've provided. So Greg, you brought leadership, sound fiscal management, and vision to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. Tonight is about volunteers. It's not about me, but I do appreciate that. Just a couple quick words. We've had a lot of great festivities over the years in this room, and think of some of you in the back are in the Sally Beals room, some of you up front are in the Shirley Heinz room, and just a lot of tremendous times and good times have taken place here over the years. And the nice thing is this room will be used for volunteers for many years to come. That was one of Shirley Heinz's strongest visions, and there's a plaque on the back wall that a building like this would be built more than just for golfers, but a building that truly would be here for the community for generations to come. And Shirley would be so tickled tonight to see this room again being used for this. I've had the good fortune of being at a special community for the last 25 years. It's been a great ride. It's a community that really is so unique in so many ways. Met so many fantastic people, hundreds of boards and commission members over the years, and many, as we mentioned tonight, have passed. But just some really unique, tremendous people. It's one of the things that makes Centerville very special. It's more than just a place to come home and hang your hat. And you all really create the fabric here that makes it a tremendous community. And I can't say enough for what you've done. I appreciated the opportunity to meet all of you over the years. I look forward to seeing you, and I'll be around hopefully for some years to come. But anyway, it's been a great ride. Thank you all for what you do for this community each and every day to make it truly a special, special place. Thank you.
All right. I knew we'd be able to get him up here. Greg's a special person to all of us. And Greg, I have great respect for what you've done for the city. I remember sitting in the front row when this place opened and Shirley Hines was up here in the front. And it was on time. It was a struggle, but Greg got it done. So it was a tremendous job. This time I'm going to move on to the Mayor's Award for Community Service. Our recipient of the Mayor's Award for Community Service this year started volunteering in 1989. Since that time, he has given hundreds of hours of time, his expertise and knowledge in reviewing and maintaining the look of the City of Centerville. He has been heavily involved in the development and the plan review of countless major projects, including the golf club at Yankee Trace, Miami Valley Hospital South, Kroger Marketplace, and the cornerstone of Centerville. City projects like the new police building and public works center, and literally scores of other projects, both residential and commercial, have been under his review during his 28 years on the Planning Commission. As an attorney, he uses his expertise to provide substantive, legal-based input in the proceedings of the Planning Commission. He has played and plays a strong role in our city's Great Division Comprehensive Plan, as well as the development of the Unified Development Ordinance. He's known for taking a strong stand on development issues, even when it means going against a popular opinion, and he has never lacked compassion or commitment to our community. Many developments in Centerville, in fact, would be very different had tonight's recipient not been willing to speak up when he felt something did not meet the Centerville standards. You can ride along Wilmington Pike and see that that is not going to have a fueling center on Wilmington Pike. Jim, was a suggestion that was met with positively by the representatives from Costco that evening. Jim, we definitely thank you for that. He has been a catalyst for getting developers to make changes to meet those standards. His fellow board members say he has a great insight for understanding a problem and suggesting a common sense solution. Many times, Jim has been nominated, and many times those who have nominated him have called him a leader, faithful and passionate about doing the right thing for the long term. Outside of his volunteer position, he serves as a professor of law at the University of Dayton Law School and has been voted Professor of the Year 5 separate times by the University of Dayton law students. Since 2003, he has served in several leadership roles with the American Bar Association Real Property Committee, Trust and Estates Committee, and sections. In addition, he has worked with 2 uniform law commissions with respect to issues related to real property matters and ethics matters. Our city has benefited greatly from his expertise and his passion, and we are most grateful for his efforts. Please join me and the community in congratulating the 2017 Mayor's Award for Community Service to Jim Durham. Jim.
What I just said to Brooks was, you tricked me. I've never attended this event before, and I was cajoled into attending this event because I was asked to say words about Greg. It's been my pleasure. One of the things and I'm sure everyone in this room, we all have our different gifts, and when we can bring those and we hope to make a difference, it is a tremendous thing. I was asked to be on, if I was interested in being on the Centerville Planning Commission, and I said yes. I try to be even-handed. I try to look at things with depth and at the long term, and I try to listen. And what I found my role on the commission has been, I got cajoled into being chair, and I finally said to City Council, no, I don't want to be chair, and my role is to sit, listen, and try to find a consensus, to look for a way to move forward, and to try to get things done. I joke sometimes about that I'm Corporal Jimmy, that I get jobs done, and I appreciated the comment about leadership, but I think that one leads not by trying to lead, one leads by doing. So I truly am stunned and humbled. I see that you got my wife involved in this. She wasn't going to come tonight, and I am very touched. And Brooks and to the council, I thank you so much. I really appreciate this honor. Brooks would like you to come over.
The city does have a gift for you in recognition of Volunteer of the Year.
Thank you.
And I know your wife will be over here.
So you were on it too, huh?
Yes, I was.
So, again, thank you very much.
Let me mention that we were concerned, because Jim had not been here before, that we needed to have, and we wanted to recognize Greg tonight. Also, that we thought, well, where should we do this as far as when to recognize Greg? We figured, well, if Jim was going to say something, we were concerned if we did that too early in the program, Jim would be gone before it was time. So we moved that back to the last thing right before the recipient of the Mayor's Award.
So I have been tricked on at least 2 or 3 different ways. But it is because I don't think you do things for recognition. You do them to have an impact. And I appreciated the very kind words you said because I hope that I've had an impact, a positive impact on our community. And that's what we're all here for.
I don't think there's any question. Jim has had a huge impact on the community. Each of the developments that he's participated in over these many years has had a significant and positive impact. You definitely have, Jim, and we appreciate all that you've done over these years. So thanks again for everything, and I think you have a couple friends out there too, don't you, that came along?
I see now, thank you, for our very good friends, Bill and Janice Staler, and Mark and Jill Freitag. So thank you for coming.
Jim, if you want to open that up and see what you got, or
Sure.
you can't leave until the present's open.
Okay. Says Mayor's Award for Community Service, James Durham, presented the Volunteer Salute May 11, 2017, and it is the City Hall. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Jim will be available for questions after tonight. So. I want to thank you for all you do. You're great volunteers. It's a great city. It's an honor for all of us on council, and I know staff, to work with you every day. Thanks again for being here, and look forward to seeing all of you here again next year. Thanks again.